Hello everyone, I am Darren, also known as Dezinator94. I am a Cult of the Lamb speedrunner based here in Melbourne, Oz. The game's home ground as well. Yeah, I picked up this game back on release as seeing another really awesome local game come out was really inspirational to get me back into a new game to focus on and my passion for speedrunning games, and I've stuck with it ever since and been through every patch, every update for it as well. Speaking of patch-wise, we're going to be going back to pretty much the very start of this game. We're on patch 1.0.11, which is about 2 to 3 weeks after launch of the game initially back in 2022. I'll explain why during the run, but there is a lot of potentials for soft locks in this game, most of which we try to avoid. The first one can come about 30 seconds into the run, so we'll try to make do with what we can. Hasn't happened in a while, but you know, marathon curses and whatnot. Before we start the timer though, as this is an easy category, we don't get to choose our difficulty until about 2-3 minutes into the run. So for our tutorial to manipulate the difficulty of that, we just need to load into a previous save of the game that's already set to whichever difficulty you desire. So for an easy run, we just come out and check our difficulty. We're on easy, so it's now automatically going to make our new save an easy start as well. And we'll get into things here and start time in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, Cult of the Lamb, if you don't know, you're playing as a little lamb that has been taken over by a cult, as the name suggests, and you're essentially being put up for sacrifice for who knows whatever list of devilish deeds you've done. But yeah, they essentially just hate all lamb kind and say, yeah, we don't want you around here, you can go, see you later, thanks, bye. But the bishops here, which we'll become more familiar with throughout the run, didn't think twice about this decision and didn't actually know the god they worship to might actually put the lamb back in against them all instead. So here we're coming up to the one who waits, the Almighty One themselves. And they're going to give us a second chance here to prove ourselves worthy. And we've got a little bit of a skip here for a cutscene. We're just going to Alt-Tab in and out and skip the entire cutscene altogether. But yeah, the first 20 minutes or so of this run is probably going to be where most of the big skips and stuff are, and then that's when it becomes random afterwards. The first skip here, we're not going to be able to get it, but we can skip this dialogue room with Ratau if we get a side exit, rather than that top exit we have just had there. But yeah, so a dungeon crawler, think of Binding of Isaac. So that's where a lot of the RNG is going to come in as well, with room placements, whatnot, weapons that we get given, some of which are better or worse than others. Again, we'll go through those as we come across them throughout the run. Another potential skip coming up here. It's about a 2-frame window there where we can roll out of bounds from that dialogue trigger and kill one of those first guys that was in that room, which as an actor in that cinematic dialogue, when they're dead, it just breaks the entire dialogue and we can just leave the room entirely without having to fight any of them. And they still just give us the follower even though they're tied up still to a bench, but we won't question it. So Ratau is our little, our director, you would say, our teacher that's going to be guiding us through. We're not really going to stop and listen to what he has to say, but yeah, he's going to be popping up every now and then, getting in our way a little bit. We're going to be setting now when the game wants us to set our difficulty here. And once again, Ratau is going to talk to us and say, yeah, have a cow. We're not going to worry as much about what they're going to be doing. If you're expecting a lot more of the cult management side of things here, then I'm sorry, but about 20 minutes into the run, we're never going to see this place again. So the first thing we need to do we need to get some food going here. And it's because as a good cult leader, we can't leave our followers or ourselves starving. So we need to get 5 wood and 2 stone and enough berries as well to make the cooking pit and to make our first meal of pretty much slop, essentially. And we're going to get rid of them in a place where we can get our cooking pot as high up as we can. That's way so we can roll out here, and Retail's going to want to talk to us. He's going to want us to stand right next to him, but if we don't get there by the time the dialogue ends, we then have free roam during the cinematic, so we can then just get to our exit of the place before intended, really. There's a few moments like that where the game's going to try and lock you into some dialogue by rooting you to the ground in a certain spot, but if you're not there by the time the dialogue ends, if there's a cutscene to follow, then the game gets confused and just lets you go wherever you want, pretty much. So we've unlocked our first of our 4 dungeons or biomes. This is Darkwood, controlled by the Bishop Leshy. And this is really the tutorial dungeon where the game's going to guide you through each weapon individually one by one and all the other base mechanics of the game individually as we build them up. And then after Darkwood, that's when it's really going to open up into a full RNG pit and where things can go either really well or really wrong. Leshy's just given us a bit of a warning, but that doesn't faze us at all. So the sword here is the first weapon we have. It's pretty much your run-of-the-mill sword. It's got pretty decent damage. It's got decent attack time. And yeah, different runners have different preferences on weapons, especially depending on what rooms we're going to be fighting in. The sword, for me, is probably... it's something we'll take when we see it, definitely. But there will be better ones that we see as well. We got some good RNG then as well. We're going to need to be building our cult temple later on as well, which we're going to need some more wood and stone for. So ideally we can get all of that in this first Darkwood run. That was nearly very close there. But yeah, if we don't, that's all good. It is RNG dependent. It's about maybe a 1 in 4 chance, 1 in 5-ish to get both of them when you need. One of them being from that room that we just saw, the treasure node room, and the other as a boss reward here. So our first mini-boss, Amdusius. The best way to beat him is by just standing still and swinging, because he apparently doesn't really know where you are in the room. And just misses you entirely, so yeah. We'll take him out pretty easily, and this is where we want to see a wood reward here as we took our stone before. Unfortunately, we didn't get either, so that's all right. It's about a 30-second time loss and whatnot. We just need to go harvest some from our base instead. So as you see here, our big red doors are going to be opening 1/4 after each run through the dungeon, and that's going to open us up to the bishop of that dungeon. So for this case, that'll be Leshy as our final boss of this dungeon. Again, we're going to want to try and clear the wood as north as possible where we can, except our followers have so kindly left us that one over there, which we'll get to shortly after Retail gets us to indoctrinate some more followers and whatnot. Again, we're going to try and get as far away from him as we can so we can just get moving a bit quicker. Build a little shrine here. Pretty much just mandatory things we never use. And our third follower as well. Followers do have a lot of customization in terms of appearance, as well as different perks and skill sets that they can have that can help you with certain things as well. But again, none of that's really done in this run. In some other difficulties where better cult management is required and routing is a lot different, then yeah, that's actually, no, I was going to take this one, wasn't I? Because it's a lot quicker. Then yeah, that's going to be where you'd see runs do a lot more work over here. I forget. Yeah, no, 5 trees. Yeah, our temple, which we're building now, is going to be what we're going to use to unlock some of our biggest skips in the game and biggest sources of damage as well. That's going to carry us through. So you saw me put the lamb on that specific tile, one up in the middle from the bottom. That's going to allow us to skip a little dialogue cutscene outside of the temple if we roll in straight away. If you're just off of that tile, then you can get soft locked inside here as well. And sometimes your followers that come to help you build it decide to push you off and nudge you out of the way. So yeah, they can get very annoying at times, but we try to get around them. So as part of the tutorial, we're going to be starting our faith upgrades here. The first one being just giving us an extra half a heart. You might not think it's much, but it's actually very important for us as we get later into the runs as well. Because any death that we take is potentially up to like a 5-6 minute time loss, depending how far deep we are into a biome and which biome it is. So the game's going to introduce us to our second weapon type here, the axe. It's got a lot better damage. It's got much wider range of attack as well. But there is a bit of an annoying thing where if enemies are too close to you, then they can just not be hit by it, and it just literally will swing over the head entirely, which can get quite annoying. You'll see as well, I'll talk about it a bit later as well, but as we swing the weapon, I'm going to be rolling pretty much directly after each swing, and that's to try and get some animation cancels and chains of attacks, which just helps speed up the process of damage and also chain in better attacks of attack patterns that have better damage outputs than other ones. See there, that guy avoided that little hit there. But yeah, we'll go more into that with some other weapons that it is more common with. So you see here the map, we're going to be wanting to try and get as little of these fight nodes as we can, and we're going to want to get as many of these people nodes as well, because these are the ones that are going to be giving us our followers. For the end goal of the game, we need to get 20 followers to unlock the final door. And we're going to be getting some in different places, and we're also going to be losing some along the way as well, unfortunately. But as a strong independent cult leader, some things can't be helped, and we have to learn to make sacrifices where we see fit. That guy is not wanting to die. There we go. So this fight node as well had a little icon on it as well, which is a modifier for this room, or this run, I guess, of it. Which means that we're going to be dealing double damage and also taking double damage as well. It's not as impactful here until we get a certain item, but later down the track, if that does happen, it can be really helpful or be a really big hindrance as well, depending on how risky we want to play the game. We'll get random weapon spawns occasionally as well. So like that's a sword that's gonna pretty much all the time, if you get a weapon or a spell drop, I haven't even talked about spells yet, but the weapons or spells that drop from room rewards like that, they're usually gonna be one level higher than what you currently have. So usually they're gonna be ideal to take, but even just the time it takes to let them spawn in is something that we don't necessarily need. Take a bit of a damage boost there just to get through his attack, but that is all right. So every mini boss we kill here is going to be one that we can then indoctrinate into our cult, because everybody knows that the best people to have on your team are the enemies that you've once slaughtered, essentially. But yeah, they fit in really well. They're welcome. Everyone's welcome in the cult. But the one who waits is again going to want to give us a little chat, a little talking to. Just make sure we're sticking to their path and doing what they see fit for us. So another little tutorial thing, we're going to be introduced to doctrines, which are a mechanic that allow you to modify and customize how you want to play the game and different aspects of it that you want to focus on. Whether you want to be more helpful towards your cult, or you want them to be hard labor workers without any rest if you're wanting to be that demonic overlord. But yeah, again, we're not going to be seeing much of that. If we were doing a 100% run or whatnot, which are absolutely insane to be running, we'll get that guy later. then yeah, a lot of that comes into play. So Darkwood 3 here, we're going to be introduced to the dagger, which is the worst damage output. It's got the best attack speed, but also the worst range. And also, it has this really annoying pattern combo that you can do where you have a bunch of really fast hits and then you follow it up with this like little charge jab thing. We're not saying before that when we attack, we can like roll cancel and like chain attacks. That thing can happen as well on the final hits, which is really annoying when you're not wanting it to come out and just get stuck in this really long animation over and over again. And has caused a lot of runs to end for me in the past. These guys love to jump over your head as well, just as soon as you get there. I never mentioned spells as well, so that other, the tentacle-looking thing that you see next to my little dagger symbol on the top left. So that's the spell that we got given for this game. It's a little, it's a line along the ground that spurts up tentacles from the ground that will damage enemies it hits, and we get a really good line here as well, hopefully. And we can use that to just wipe out enemies like that, but it'll use some of our like mana, or fervor we call it in this game, which you see in the top left. That'll automatically refill with these little red dots on the ground that we pick up from enemies. Some spells are a lot better than others and for different purposes. So some spells are really good at shredding bosses down, others are really good at clearing just hordes of enemies. But we have to make sure that we balance it to have enough for later in a room if we're going to be fighting a boss really soon and don't have a really good weapon, but we want to keep a good spell, which yeah, we'll get more into again later when that comes online. Actually, no, it's fine. So if you've ever played a dungeon crawler, like think of your Binding of Isaac and whatnot, as I said before, the room layouts of each dungeon that we go through are going to be randomly generated, and there's only certain things that we're able to like try and guess where they're going to be coming from. So you see we have a little mini-map on the top right. That's just going to show us what rooms we currently have available or currently have gone to. I'll try to mention it as well when I don't want that, I want that. When we see it again, but above the doorways to each room heading off, you might see some like little yellow stars hanging above them, or some little like swords and whatnot. Those are going to be little indicators that we can use to tell what sort of room we're going to be coming into. And usually they're the rooms that we want to be avoiding, because most of the time they're going to be leading to dead ends rather than rooms that are going to progress us to the end of the dungeon we're running. Sometimes though, the game has maybe about a 5% chance, 2 to 5% chance, where it will still put the correct path through one of those rooms. And so we go literally everywhere else before we find that. So see, we're at the end of day 1 of our cult here. And we're going to be now indoctrinating those followers that we've collected on the way. We're going to be getting 7 of them in total. And the good thing about doing this at night is that as soon as we indoctrinate them, they're all going to want to go to sleep, which means they're not going to come pester me and annoy me with their little side quest and get in the way of me trying to talk to these other fellas. That guy's already sick. You'll be fine, buddy. But yeah, we're going to need all 7 of these guys. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. For some skips that are going to be coming up real soon now. So this is where we break open the game. We're going to do a bit of a little safety strat. We're going to do a second sermon. This isn't required, but we're going to do it to unlock a new set of spells, one of which is the most broken spell in the game. It's called Hounds of Fate. And it's just going to allow it to be put into our potential pool of items to get. We're not guaranteed to get it, but if we do, it's going to be really helpful for shredding bosses, and you'll see why if we do manage to get it. And then the game also requires us to just run a little bone bonfire ritual to get us all bonding together, team building exercise. And then they're all happy again. And they'll go about their merrily way. Ratal's going to talk to us again. And he's going to show us what we can do if we level up people. They get happier and level up. If we feed them, if we keep them healthy, strong, do things they request of us, some of which are a lot more disturbing than others. There's this one side quest where some guy thinks it's really funny to put poo into someone else's meal and watch them eat it and laugh. And that side quest then ends up with them asking you to kill the guy and then eat its corpse, and thinks that's also really funny too. Absolutely messed up side quests that this game has. We're going to be trying to skip here where we're unlocking all the other doors, but you see I'm going to roll out as soon as it's done. And that's because we're going to be duping these followers here. You see there's got a bit of an overlay to each one of them. If we leave the room quickly enough before their models can disappear from the screen, then the game will get really confused and will keep them there. And so we're able to open all these other doors to these biomes. Even though like this one here, it says we need 12 people, we only have 7. But yeah, it gives us the opportunity to go wherever we want in whatever order. And we'll use that for some specific reasons that, again, I'll bring up later on when we get into them. But then the most broken part, we're going to go to the world map here. And at this point in the game, we're only able to go to Lonely Shack. But there's a certain place that we're going to sneak our foot into the back door, ideally, if we can. Might take a few tries to get. It's pretty finicky, but essentially, the map has sections like this place right here that we've just come into, Midas's Cave, that we don't have unlocked now, but the game on the world map still keeps the like nodes there, but just hidden away behind like an overlay. So if we're able to like kind of hint at the game underneath, be like, hey, we actually want to like talk to this thing here, might be able to sneak us in. But we do this so we can sacrifice some followers here to get some crystal talisman pieces for a really big item. And we're going to try. Yes, there we go. We can dupe these followers. There's a big cutscene after each follower gets sacrificed here, and we can skip them by spamming rolling up and interacting with this pedestal again before they move across into the dialogue. It's like a 3-frame window every time. We've just done 2 of them. We're going to try for the 3rd. That's insane. I've hit that twice in my life to get all 3 there. But that saves probably about 45 seconds to a minute there. And you'll see why. So usually we would put them on all 4 different pedals here, and we'd have to watch this dialogue and this cutscene every time. Oh, we get a new quarter of the piece. But no, we just have the full piece now. So that's really handy. And you'll notice as well, I did take the frame rate down to 30 frames. That's just to give us just a clearer window of frames that we're able to hit that dialogue interact with. And now we'll go back to 60 FPS viewing. I am so sorry for putting you all through that. But yeah, we're going to use that talisman that we just crafted to create the Golden Fleece. Now, this is going to be the biggest item in the game. That's gonna, yeah, it's changing the run now. What this item does is, let's not go back in there. It allows us to build up a damage bonus. For every enemy we kill, we get 10% extra damage to our total that our weapon and spells are going to put out. Let's just check here to see if we have any good routes. We do have a really nice route here. But the downside of that is, though, that if we take double damage, and also if we ever get hit, our damage bonus will reset to 0. So this is where the game really becomes ideally a no-hit run, but I don't think I've seen anyone ever do that. So this is where we want to play really strategically, try to rush things where we think we're able to, or play it safe where we think we need to, just try and keep that damage bonus up, especially for some of the worst weapons, like I was unluckily given with the dagger there. But yeah, you'll see top left corner, that damage bonus is going to be ticking up. And it's going to be one of the things that allows us to absolutely shred some bosses here. So yes, the reason why we're playing on 1.0.11 here is because this is the last patch where the Golden Fleece item had an uncapped, that was really close, had an uncapped damage potential, so we can technically stack it as high as we want. We can stack it into the thousands of % if we really want. After this patch, they brought it down to a cap at 200%, and then later on as well, then they remade it uncapped, but instead of 10% per kill, it's now only 5% per kill. And I believe that's still the case in the current patch of the game. So yeah, that's why this run, for an unrestricted version route of the game, it'll be the fastest. Where are you going, buddy? So yeah. Follower-wise as well, with every biome that we're going to be, dungeon run that we're going to be going through, we ideally want to get, we'll always be getting the follower from the mini-boss. We're going to be wanting to get, ideally, one other follower per dungeon run as well. We have a leeway of 2 that we can avoid and still have enough. We do have options as well of buying some other, I'm going to take that over the dagger any day. We have the option of buying some followers from a little vendor out the front of the dungeons that we'll pass by shortly as well, if we need to make up for any more than the 2 that we are able to miss. I think this might have been the wrong way, probably. But yes, we got introduced to a little fisherman friend. No, I didn't. As I said, the 5% will hit. And marathon luck, this is how you do it. So you see these swords up here, it's going to be introducing us to a weapons dealer room. Usually these are going to be dead ends, but every now and then they're going to be the right way through. So we're coming up to the first main boss. This is going to be Leshy. He should be dying in about 2 seconds total, I'm going to want to say, if he's going to cooperate with us. With a nice juicy damage total of 560% bonus. Yeah, Leshy's not going to be much more for very long. It depends a bit on what attacks they want to put out first straight away. Sometimes they have like a honing bolt that's just going to come wreck you, and if we get hit, remember that we lose all of our damage potential. So yeah, Leshy was a 4 hit. And he's going to complain and toss around, but in the end, ultimately, we're just going to steal his heart because, of course, cults need to harvest the organs of their foes, as all good cults do. And then we're going to get a reward chest. So for this one, we just need to pick up one of these little scrolls, I guess, that's going to give us some little decoration things that we can build. Don't know why, but the game needs us to pick up that one in particular to let us leave the room. Any other ones we pick up is just really a time wasting through that cutscene every time. It's always going to be the last of the 2 to fall out of the chest, so it can get a little bit finicky about which one, especially if they're really close together, but it doesn't really matter that much. So we're welcome back to our cults with reaping the rewards of our journey. And our followers are really ecstatic for us, but we're going to be putting this one in particular to good use because these are a little bit of a currency as well, and it's going to unlock the last item that we need for this run, which is going to be a thing called Omnipresence. What Omnipresence does is it allows us to essentially fast travel out of any dungeon back to our cults whenever we want. So we're going to be using that at the end of every dungeon run just to skip a little bit of time from that final scene of having to like go through, unlock a portion of the door and whatnot. We can also use it to reset dungeon runs if we get bad weapons and we want to try to re-roll it. It's about a 20-second time or so, but if the weapon is like a dagger compared to like the axe, then over the course of a run, especially some of the later runs, that is definitely worth it. Now, the reason why we before did our follower dupes is because we want to now break the sequence of the game and come into Silk Cradle, which is, if you've done a casual playthrough, this is the last, typically the last dungeon that you would go to. And there's a few reasons for that. One, it gives us access to this weapon called the Gauntlet, or the Claws, whatever you see fit, which has the highest potential damage output in the game. It's got this 3 attack pattern, so you go a left, a right, and then a slam. With our like roll cancelling and animation chaining as well, we can kind of chain this last down hit, which does so much damage, and if we can just chain that all throughout a room, then that's going to be where a lot of our damage is going to come from. There are some other reasons as well. The Bishop of Silk Cradle, Shimura, has some dialogue interactions with some of the other bishops in their respective dungeons, and if we kill Shimura first, then the game gets really confused and just skips those dialogues entirely because one of the actors isn't there for it. But Shimura's going to be a little pesky and it's going to get us to kill one of our own followers. Because I think they're like the Bishop of Chaos or something like that. We're going to get another really good generation here without a combat node. We took the wrong one. So combat nodes like that aren't a shop have the options of being either a fight follower node like this one where you have to go through just a few waves of enemies, or they can just be free follower rooms where there'll just be a follower sitting at a campfire there. It's RNG dependent which one you get. Obviously we want the ones that don't require us to sit through all these waves as just time loss, but they can also be helpful as well if we need a bit more damage build up bonus towards our overall damage. But yeah, the more of those combat nodes we can skip, the better. Especially being Silk Cradle as the final biome, dungeon. It's also just good to get arguably the hardest one out of the way earlier into the run. Yeah, it means having to reset in this place if you get really bad luck later on. It's a lot easier to do that kind of reset 30 minutes into a run than an hour plus into a run. And we're going to get the exit over here. So 570% with the claws is going to be probably one of the fastest ways we can kill a boss here. Yeah, pretty much a two-shot. We did get hit, but it didn't really matter in the end. And that's an ideal scenario. Now, the rest of the game, besides one, is going to be fully RNG in terms of which weapons we're going to get. So the more gauntlets we can see drop, and the more Hounds of Fate, which we haven't seen yet, but hopefully we'll see more of, the better this run's potential is going to be. And the more risky I'm able to play it, ideally. Yes, pretty much we're only going to be heading up from here on out. This is the guy I was talking about before that's can sell us some followers as well. We do not condone human trafficking here, but when you're a part of a cult, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. It's a bit of an unfortunate hit. These guys are quite tanky as well, and different enemies have different attack patterns. So these red spiders here are gonna just want to run around and just annoy us and then jump into the ceilings. They won't usually attack us directly besides when they land from the ceiling. Whereas the blue spiders will be wanting to lunge at us and are a lot more of a pain as well. That was very close. We're going to be looking out for these chests that spawn at the end of every room. This guy is really annoying. Hopefully we can kill him before that comes back in, just in time. No, we're done with that. We will be picking up some gold from these chests throughout, as if we need to be buying some extra followers later. If we get really bad rooms that we need to come through without a follower taken from that dungeon, then we'll have the excess there. Some enemies have modifiers as well, like you saw one guy there just dropped a bomb on his death. These can be really annoying. So hitboxes in this game work in a really weird way, where your weapon in its attack animations... Oh, we can get a little skip here as well. Nearly. Yeah, you can skip that this interaction here and just chain this prompt to open Midas's cave that we've already been to and done everything there that we need to. But yeah, we're just not going to see it again. We're getting really good luck here. I mean, I'll take it, but I'm probably going to talk too soon, I reckon, shortly. Yeah, so hitboxes, as I was saying, your weapon attacks will extend the actual hitbox of your own character. So let's say there's a bomb exploding on one side of a room and you're on the other side swinging. Your actual weapon's hurt box is a lot bigger than what its model might make it seem to be. These fire things are really... Okay, you're going to be a pain. Oh, yeah, we'll take that. So yeah, you can get hit cross-map from things that you didn't even think were possible to be hit by. And you just kind of got to shrug it off and deal with it. that was one of the downsides of playing on such an early patch, is that there are a lot of like bugs and things like that that we have to deal with. Pretty much all of which I believe have been like completely fixed in a current patch of this game. But it means we don't get to exploit it as much, which is where a lot of the fun comes from. I'm gonna take that heart again, just in case. Now, Shimura is going to give us a choice here. We can either bow to them or refuse to bow. Doesn't matter either way. She's still going to make us fight. In a really big room with a lot of spiders that are very agile and can zip across the room. And some scorpions that love to throw out little projectiles as well. Silk Cradle is infamous for me especially, having little archer guys that will love to just hide in grass and just snipe you when you don't see them at all and cause so much pain and hurt. Especially when you're like this far deep, let's say, and in that previous room, if I was to lose all that damage, this fight here would have been a lot different. So yeah, 4 dungeon runs per dungeon before we get to the bishop of that one, this one being Shimura. The other 2 bishops that we'll see also have like little special traits that they like to give things to your followers. Okay, we'll take these. Keep them coming, yeah. Claws, gauntlets all the way. But yeah, so Shimura likes to make us murder our own subjects. The others, oh, and also likes to murder their own subjects apparently as well. Another 2 that we're going to have to kill here, but the reason why we indoctrinated 7 before, 4 of them were ones that we killed by sacrificing them in Midas's cave, which left us with 3. The first one we killed before, and the last 2 we killed there. That's leaving us with 0 currently indoctrinated, even though we have more in the wings ready to go. The game gives us essentially a do or die clause. I don't know why I tried for that. That if we die now, pretty much, with no followers, then it's going to be a game over, and we lose a lot more progress than what we would. But it's also really good for times when we kill a bishop, so like when we killed Leshy before, and we came back to our cult with his heart, we were welcomed by all of our followers in a little cutscene there. But if we have no followers, then that's another little cutscene we can skip as well. Because who likes a party of 1? But these rooms are going to be quite annoying. These little yellow balls you see rotating in the middle, their hitboxes are also very generous. And even rolling through them when you're supposed to have iframes, yeah, we'll take this. Yeah, there's a lot of times you roll through those little balls and get hit a lot of times when you think there is absolutely no way that that should have ever happened. And it's just a big series of unfortunate events. Silk Cradle as well also has the potential for the longest room chains as well. So that's another reason why I want to get it out of the way. If we get really unlucky with room chains, especially if we're trying to be competitive for top runs on the leaderboard, then all the small things like that really matter. So currently for this category, I sit 2nd place on the leaderboard with a 109.29. That was like the run of my life. That was world record at one stage back when I was running this game at the AusSpeedrun Marathon in Adelaide a few years ago, which I unfortunately lost the record to the night of my run there, to a Japanese runner by the name of Sasuga as well. He was practicing for his own marathon run over in Japan and got so incredibly lucky and took it down to like a 1:07.50 something. I can't remember the exact time. But yeah, it saved an extra minute and a half, which is absolutely insane for a game like this, where pretty much it's just resetting until you get given the God Seed. And to get a God Seed consistently for an hour plus long run, don't get me wrong, you do also have to play it really well and have to know where those micro time saves are going to be. And then it's coming down to who can get hit the least, pretty much. In current patches as well, things like that are still used, like the Golden Fleece, even though they're not as optimal. They're just acquired in different ways. There are other, also with the, while we wait for these little egg sacs to drop, these are another little annoying thing about Silk Cradle is they have these little bags of enemies, I guess, that are programmed to drop at once you've killed everyone else in the room. Sometimes they can be really nice and drop as soon as you kill the final enemy. Other times, like this, they're going to be really annoying and just sit there baiting you over and over again. I'm going to say this is the 5%. No, it's not. Of course it's not. Why would it be? Sometimes the egg sacs can just surprise you as well, and they'll just decide to drop just in the middle of a room clear, even though everyone else is not dead. I did not get a roll off in time for that, which is unfortunate given we're coming into the boss. I'm actually going to double back and take another room to clear, just to get a bit more percent. Okay, this guy doesn't want to die. Thank you. Come back. Thank you. Okay, 110% is going to be pretty alright for this room. Yeah, Boris is very annoying. He loves to lunge at you and also shoot out projectiles like any which way, which means we can't get a lot of chains off of our claws, especially if we want to play it safe without getting hit. If we die, we do have to redo the entire dungeon run. So however long I've been in this for, about 4 or 5 minutes or so, and we just add that back on again, potentially longer if we get worse RNG the next time around. So that's where we want to try and calm down our pace a little bit to make sure for some of these mini bosses that we don't die. Especially some other ones coming up are some of my personal worst nightmare enemies. With some of the things they spawn and their attack patterns can just be really ridiculous. But so far, so good. We've been getting our followers, so we're not needing to buy anymore, but they are there should we need the option. So this is the 4th and final run of Silk Cradle here, and Shimura gives us a little preview of the map as well. If we want to try and path out our run, we'll take a sword for it. We also have the option of running into obviously upgrades throughout, but it's not a dagger. And if it was a dagger, I probably honestly would have reset. Even though these little like blue eggs don't look like enemies, they will be an enemy, and the game still counts them as an enemy. So we kill those sacs, even though they provide no threat to us whatsoever, they will still give us the 10% damage bonus from them as well. So the more of those we can chain in before they hatch, the better for us, really. These Scorpion guys love to shoot just projectiles across the entire map, and really limits where we can run, whereas these Centipede dudes just love to fling themselves around the room as well. Often into places that you really don't want them to go. Isn't that hard? Thank you. We're gonna get a good drop. Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of times the bigger rooms are a lot easier to maneuver. When you get a lot of enemies in small rooms like that one we just saw, that's when, this might actually be a little bit dangerous, we'll see. That's when there can be a lot of problems come up, especially when enemies are overlapping each other and you don't see one behind another, and we just get hit from things that you have no idea are coming. Halob there, our dealer. If we talk to and buy things from his shop a few different times, then we'll have a little cutscene with him. But yeah, this is what I was worried about. Okay, that was weird. These question mark nodes have the chance to be a mini boss. They could also just be like literally any other random things as well, but yeah, there's a chance for it to be a mini boss that you have already fought before from that biome. So it wasn't the worst case scenario this time. Let me leave, please. Thank you. But they can be run killers as well, especially if you're not prepared for them. you'll see those beetle-looking dudes. I don't really know what they're meant to be modeled off of. But the ones that are spitting all that poisonous fields along the ground. In this version of the game, poison is the least threatening thing ever. You can stand in a field of poison for probably a good, like, 10 seconds before you actually take any damage from it. In later updates, since they've done, like, 3 or 4 different DLC major updates, they've made poison be very deadly and can 100 to 0 you in about 2 seconds if you're not careful enough. So it's always a thing that we have to, when we're swapping between down-patched versions of the game and current-patched versions of the game, something that we need to be mindful of. Current-patched versions of this game are really cool as well. There's been so many other different categories that have been added to the game, like especially the most latest patch where the game introduced a local co-op feature, so now you can play couch co-op with a friend, partner, whoever, and has been really interesting for new runners to come in and route new versions of the game, because obviously having 2 players in, come on, please drop for me. Having 2 players in is going to speed up a lot of things. No, I'm not going to take any of those. Also, the addition of new weapons and spells to the game, one of which being the blunderbuss, which I'm mostly a down patch runner, so I haven't experimented with them all that much, but I know from other runners that these are absolutely insanely broken items to the game. And especially all the post-game stuff they've added with the relics of the old faith. Yeah, definitely, if you've played the game on launch and haven't touched it for a year or 2, go back and check it out, because they've essentially added the entire game again for you to explore and discover a whole bunch of new stuff to it. But coming to the Shimura fight here, so 860% damage. We've only got a sword to our name. Our spell is a little like short AoE, kind of like deflect, an ultimate sword thing, so it's not as useful here. So we're just going to be trying to left click and dodge. Shimura's attacks can be pretty hard to read at times, especially the hurt boxes of them. Being such a large model and her directions, you don't really know where the attacks can be coming from. If the claw is going to be hitting behind, in front, whatnot. But thankfully, she cooperated with us pretty well. So we'll take her heart and get the hell out of here. So that's arguably the hardest part of the game done now, touch wood. But yeah, we're going to be coming to Anchor Deep now, which is controlled by the Bishop Calamar, who can be a big pain in their own right as well. Calamar loves to make our cult hungry. And of course, as we haven't cooked any food for our followers at all, they're already pretty hungry. So when they're starving, they get really impatient. So you see, when I came back there, I didn't have to get a cutscene welcoming me back because we had no followers currently indoctrinated. We're going to be indoctrinating just 2 more now again. And that's because the cutscenes that we have with Calamar coming up, there's going to be one time where they're going to make 1 follower sick, and then one time where they're going to make upwards of like 7 or 8 followers sick. So as long as we have 1, then we still get that cutscene to play. We want that cutscene to play because the alternative, if we don't have any followers, is they'll spawn a horde of enemies for us to kill, which is a lot slower. So we're introduced to the final weapon type of the game, the hammer. And it is the slowest weapon with its base speed, and also the best base damage from just its default attack. So there's a bit of a trade-off, but depends on your playstyle a bit. Different runners prefer different weapons. Most runners hate the hammer, just because you can see its wind-up attack is so slow, and often you have to bail out of an attack because you know an enemy has the chance to just absolutely murk you before you're able to get your attack off. So yeah, this weapon gets introduced with Anchor Deep, and the reason why we get it as our last weapon introduced by doing anchor deep. Third is so we don't have it in our pool of potential weapons for more of the run. So this is that other follower node that we can take here. Not a combat follower node, but just a dialogue prompt, and we get them. Just have to make them happy, and they'll happily follow us along. But yeah, as I was saying, so the hammer. Okay, that was weird. Yeah, the more of the run we can do without it in the pool, the better. Just because, yeah, it is really... It's led to a lot more problems than it has helped out, especially for me. So we're going to hope we can actually get a replacement here. No, they're both just spell options, so that doesn't really matter. But the mini-boss that we're going to be fighting coming up is my biggest nightmare. You'll see why. You'll see some of these little squid guys can just, like, kamikaze lock onto you across map and will just, yeah, fling into you with every little mite in their bodies that they can. And they just become a real threat, especially when there's multiple of them. And you'll see a few of them in this boss room as well, the boss itself being one of them. And when you get chain hit by a lot of these things, they can really quickly whittle your health down. So even though it's 70% damage here, just having the hammer is going to help out a lot. That's the only kind of benefiting factor you see there. Now we have to play a bit safer here. Yeah. Okay, that was one hit away from potential disaster, but it's alright, we got through him. So, yeah, now we want to see as little of the hammer as we possibly can. The first run through Silk Cradle and then Anchor Deep, both the Gauntlet and the hammer, just then they were a scripted weapon drop as they were the first time introduced into our pool. But yeah, from here on out, it'll be completely random. So the least amount of daggers we can see, the least amount of hammers we can see, the better. I'm pretty happy with either the gauntlets, the claws, some people call them. Of course, I had to speak too soon, and we got the dagger. The axe and the regular sword as well are ones that we'll take. A new NPC that we're getting introduced to our game. If you do play the game more casually, you can go up to the Lonely Shack there. And Ratau will teach you the classic old game of Knucklebones, a little dice gambling game that you can play against some of these NPCs that we find for rewards. It's a really fun game of chance and deduction to try out as well. I'm pretty sure they even released like a physical like wooden handmade set that you could buy for as merch for a little bit of time as well, which was a very cool thing. The merch that they've put out for this game has been absolutely insane and top notch. See more of these green bushes that we just saw before that I was mentioning about as potential threats when there's a lot of them. So we're gonna just try and route around them. Okay, that debatable. That's fine, we still got some more time to go. So taking that damage there isn't hopefully gonna matter too much, but it's a bit annoying to say the least. We've actually been pretty lucky with the number of combat nodes I've had to deal with here, so I'm not gonna complain in the slightest for that. Okay, this crab, you're gonna jump over me again? No? Okay, thank you for cooperating. There was a heart there we could have gotten, but we should be right. These little red dudes in the ground, it's little arena traps. We don't have to kill them, but we can bait enemies into them as well. Here we go. Please, can I get a bit of weapon? Yes, thank you. We'll take that. You'll see as well little jellyfish-looking dudes that also will charge up over time. Hang on, let's get through this. Some of these rooms here, oh, that was so close. Yeah, we see some jellyfish dudes here in Anchor Deep that we can use to blow up into other enemies and explode them. Not these guys, but... Oh no, we've got an exit here. We'll take that. So hard room is going to be... That was crazy, I actually dodged that. He usually does a shot like that a bit later. He's going to want to spawn a lot of dudes as well. Or he's just going to want to teleport around and not do anything. We'll take that as well. So yeah, Anchor Deep, so far, so good. But yeah, Calamar themselves can be super annoying and difficult. Definitely one of the more bullet hell type of bosses that this game has to offer. Yes, we'll take the claws again. So yeah, these guys on the sides, what I was talking about before, they're a one-hit kill, so we can chain them into other enemies and knock them around as well. Some of these dialogues with the bishops are one of the main places where I was talking about potential of soft locks at the start of the run. They're one of the main places that can happen. The game wants to put you in certain locations within a room when someone's talking to you. And if you are able to like deviate off of that spot, or like you get to that spot in a weird way that the game doesn't like, once the dialogue's done, the game might just not let you leave that room. Which, yeah, we'll call it a soft lock, and you have to force quit in and out. Which will, yeah, put you back to the start of that dungeon, essentially like you've just died. So they're not the worst things in the world, but obviously we want to try and avoid them where we can. Just not get hit by that guy. Yeah, we'll take this one. There's another potential chance here at this question mark node for another mini-boss refight. And we'll take this better follower node as well. So yeah, there's a chance this could be another mini-boss or it could be something random completely. Of course, it's another mini-boss. I had to speak it into existence. Again, not sure why that didn't hit me, but I'm not complaining. Can I leave? Thank you. They're pretty quick if you've got the damage for it and the weapon, like we've got the gauntlets here. Plimbo, my favorite NPC. The voice acting for this game is so stupid, so hilarious, so funny. It's so perfect for the game that they put together. And he'll open up another little shop on the sidelines for you. That was unfortunate. So yeah, sometimes chests can just drop other scrolls of decorations and stuff like that, which you obviously want to try and avoid, but if they spawn on top of you, then there's nothing you can really do about it. It's not going to be down there, should be down here. This is a fun room to go through, just chain reacting absolutely everything. And yeah, now we're getting to the stage of pretty much being able to one-shot most enemies with the gauntlets. So it's now just going to be a matter of positioning and a lot of the micro routing of rooms, especially trying to like clear rooms fully from furthest away to the closest point to an exit that you think it's going to be, just to save on travel time throughout a room. But sometimes that can't be helped, especially when enemies don't behave with you. Or they like to hide as well. So Beelzebub, another mini-boss here, should be... Okay, spoke too soon, but it's fine. He loves to spam these little like cluster shots that break up into diagonal directions. So, and then this fast fire. So play this a bit safer now. So I'm just snipe him with the tentacle. Okay, or not. Sure, we'll take it. A bit slower than we would have liked, but that's all right. Yeah, that's where you can see just that chain hitting of the third attack animation of the claws is just so powerful. But you really need to be able to know how bosses are going to act around it when you have the time to be able to get that roll cancel in without getting hit again. So coming to Anchor Deep 4 here, we'll be fighting Calamar at the end, and he'll give us another preview in, so we can take a follower there. I don't think there was a route that didn't have a combat node, but I might be wrong. We'll see. Oh, no, we'll take it. I was thinking about resetting that room, but let's hope for something better partway through. Yeah, it's annoying. The hammer at the start, with like a 0% damage on it, it gets so close to one-shotting a lot of enemies, but it just leaves them with like a sliver of health, which is the most annoying then, especially with its wind-up time for that second hit to come through. We're going to say it's right side. It is not right side. That was very close. Cool thing with these archers as well, every weapon apparently has perfect deflect potential. That was dangerous. This guy is freaking out down here. Oh, no, thanks. So yeah, archers, any weapon, if you hit the arrow back in midair, it'll perfectly deflect back and also do some AoE damage to any other enemies surrounding it. Which you can use a lot to your potential as well. To your benefit, rather. We'll take this one. It's a fight one, that's alright. Don't know how that guy didn't die first. What? Oh, I hope. Okay, yeah, those projectiles should despawn, so I'm not going to get hit. Sometimes, if you hit a boss, kind of like how we were talking before about if you don't get to a dialogue point, by the time the dialogue ends, you have then free roam movement. You can't do similar things if you kill a boss, like at the perfect time of like an animation or something, where then you and maybe other enemies that are still in the room also have that free movement during like their death little animation thing, which means you can get hit after you've killed a boss. And I haven't had it happen, but I'm assuming you can also die once you've killed a boss as well, which I'm assuming has happened to other runners as well, and it would be absolutely devastating. We're going to gamble a bit again. Surely, third time, we're not going to get a mini-boss from a question mark room. Thank you. I was going to say, the odds on that would have been absolutely catastrophic otherwise. So yeah, Calamar, as I was saying before, is definitely a bullet hell sort of boss if we let him... if these crabs want to cooperate. Thank you. Yeah, if we let Calamar get too far into what they like to do and into their cycles, then yeah, we can make it a really hard fight for ourselves. So the faster we can get them down, the better. I'm actually just going to take this card. So tarot cards are another little upgrade thing that we have the options of picking up throughout runs. Usually it is not as optimal to pick them up because yes, there can be some potential pickups that are really good, like you can get extra damage, better attack speed, but I think ultimately there are more ones that just don't really matter as much at all. Like it might be a 10% chance to negate damage when you get hit, and the time it takes to pick up the tarot card and have it put into like your book of seen tarot cards and whatnot is just not worth the time of the potential for it to be a good card. So we usually just leave them because Golden Fleece is enough, especially on this sort of patch. 200% with a hammer. I have not fought Calamar with a hammer in a good long while, so this is going to be an interesting fight. Loves to multi-wield. It's got a bit of everything going on.
Yeah, that's going to come out. And all these crabs is bouncing around the arena as well. Do not help. Somehow avoided a hit there. Oh. Nice, okay. That was scary, but we got through it. We'll take it. A bit slower than we would have liked, but much rather that over a death any day of the week. So it's 3 of our 4, boss hearts. The last one coming from the Bishop awaiting us at the end of Anura. Just blanking on the name there for a second. Anura is technically the second biome in a regular progression of it. So enemies should asterisk be a lot easier and tamer to deal with, especially health-wise. But they also, their biomes help them blend in a lot more. So you can see here, these are our 2 guys that we had made sick. One of the reasons we run this on easy, and the reason why on easy we don't really touch anything else down here in our cult management side of things, is because a lot of this, the causes of like sickness or of hunger that can be inflicted upon your followers, as part of the easy difficulty, most of the time they just wear off themselves and they don't actually cause any issue for them and the potential of having your followers die. If you were to go to a medium or hard or extra hard difficulties, expert, then that's where you'll start to see more cult management side of things happens, where you'll have to cook a lot more meals, build a lot more beds for followers. Here is the god combo as well, Hounds of Fate and Claws. First time I'm seeing Hounds of Fate. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons why the hard difficulty runs are a lot more, have a lot more time on those, because you do a lot more of the cult side of things there as well. So yeah, I'll try to show off Hounds of Fate here. It's surprised it's taking this long to get here. But essentially what it is essentially a glorified cluster of micro-missile torpedo things that don't know exactly, because the code of this game is a little bit hard to understand in certain places. But how we believe it works is that each individual missile of the cluster takes on the damage bonus from Golden Fleece individually. So if there's 10 missiles in it, then 150% that we just had there, we're going to go this way actually instead. 150% gets applied 10 times over. So essentially we're doing 1500% extra damage. Don't know if that's exactly how it works out, but it definitely is how it feels like it plays out compared to other spells as well. So we indoctrinated another couple of followers there as well. And that's because... Oh, let's get away from that bomb. The bishop here is not going to want to make our followers sick, but is going to want to make them hungry as well. And of course, being not a great cult leader, as we haven't been making any food for him, nor for ourselves as well. Making food for ourselves isn't as much of a thing in this version. One of the things that some of the later DLCs did add is a penitence mode, where essentially you also have to be able to manage... Actually, let's show this off. You didn't get the full effect of it, but you see there a horde of tracking missiles that can just absolutely decimate a boss. We'll see if we can get it for the bishop at the end here. But yeah, so the penance mode that got added later on, it adds the ability for you to have to manage your own hunger and your own sanity. So it means you have to put in a lot of more hours into sleeping nights away rather than just going willy-nilly back and forth without a care in the world. I think that came around the time of the games did a crossover event with Don't Starve as well. The game team at Massive Monster absolutely love to work with other similar smaller indie games, and yeah, love shouting each other out, having little fun banter threads over Twitter and whatnot. It's so much fun to see and gives a real life and energy to the game and the team behind it. We're not going that way. You see there, we just got Spore Grotto unlocked. Not something we're going to touch here, but it is, lore-wise, it's very weird. It's like a giant family of like explorer mushroom people that their leader ultimately wants you to like bring back other mushroom folk to them that they can cannibalistically eat themselves or something and then grow their own fungus. I don't know, it's super messed up, but what isn't in this game, let's be real. Yeah, we'll take this again. We won't be able to avoid a combat node here, but that is all right. We'll take the extra damage. You can see, like I was saying for Anura, it's a pretty orange environment with a lot of tall orange grass and a lot of very small orange frogs, which can be a pain in the ass to try and find and will often just jump out at you when you least expect it. So whilst they may not have the same health as some of the other people like in Silk Cradle did, they provide their own set of challenges though. But yeah, with a lot of time in the game, you slowly start to learn room spawns, positions and whatnot. Is there anything there? No, I don't really want anything else. I'll just try and head out. We'll head down. Yeah, these hitboxes, especially for weapons like the axe and the gauntlets, their hurt boxes across map can be really generous. So once you learn them, you can often like keep yourself out of harm's way and still be able to clear rooms pretty easily. There's the exit. So 560, we'll just try to only micro-missile Elagos here, if he wants to cooperate. Yeah. Pretty child's play, honestly, when you get to that sort of stage, but it's so much fun to exploit. Especially with some of the other DLCs that add boss refights and alternate versions of bosses that essentially just allow you to replay the game over and over again. That have really hard bosses, which I haven't touched a lot since my casual playthrough at all, but I remember they pulled up a hell of a fight. But yeah, using a lot of these tricks as well is so much fun to guys through. Oh, it's blessed us and cursed us, the worst weapon and the best spell, but we'll give it a shot. This is one of the places where I will actually take a dagger weapon, just because things don't have huge amounts of health here, so daggers can usually kill things pretty easily here. And just because they're really small enemies and a lot of them, just its attack speed as well can be really, it's not die to that falling rock. So yeah, pretty much hammer was the only thing I didn't want to see here, and of course it's what we got, but that's fine, we can make do. That's the good thing about runs of Cult of Lamb as well, is that even if you think like a run can be absolutely dead in the water, you can always manage to salvage something out of it. Like my former world record that I held, it was a run that I was honestly about like 30 seconds away from resetting, maybe about 20 minutes into the run. So I messed up a trick and wasn't able to unlock Silk Cradle as early as I would have liked. So it meant just a lot of rerouting on the fly. And somehow just through pure RNG and just, yeah, some really deep focus in it, it can manage to pay off as well. So it makes the game really rewarding to see the other side of really terrible runs come out in a good place. Oh, I did not see you activate those flyers. That's fine. It's not super fine, but we'll live. hopefully. Should be getting 90%. With a hammer, should be alright. There's a weapons room, should I need? Oh, you're gonna shoot. Unless we just get a good one here. No, we'll see what the weapons room has to offer. Yeah, we'll take a sword, actually. Just in case. Yeah, sword is really like the perfect weapon for an era. It's just got that perfect blend, but yeah, heck it. The bishop, again, gonna make some of our followers sick. I was saying that sick followers and hungry followers don't have a chance to die from their illnesses in this easy difficulty. The only potential cause of death is just natural old age. So sometimes we can recruit followers that are already old. It just means we won't be putting them to work or anything. And they can, in some situations, depending how long your run is and when you indoctrinate them, they can just die from natural causes as well. Which I have had one run when I've indoctrinated all 20 of my followers and then have been going, literally walking to the door to open that I needed the followers for, and one has died on that walk there and ended the run then and there. It's very unfortunate. So yeah, it's just shred you again. Ending with a perfect combo of gauntlets and Hounds of Fate. In later versions as well, they do have a bunch of accessibility options as well of being able to like force certain weapons to spawn. So it's given us the option lately to try and experiment with like some, not quite Taz runs, but give us more of an idea of what the potential for this game speedrun to be if everything was to go correctly. Obviously, there's still RNG in room generations and whatnot. We still got an alright run through here. But yeah, it definitely takes out a big chunk of having to, of having to avoid situations like this, where you get the hammer again. But yeah, we'll try and use its pretty chunky hitbox to our advantage. Flinky, our last NPC that gets added to our potential list of opponents in Knucklebones. And yeah, this is the only place as well that we see these skeleton enemies come in. They're not in any of the other biomes. And a fun fact as well about those skeletons, they have the same enemy AI and like movesets as the in Silk Cradle when Shimura makes your followers turn against you and fight you. They have the exact same models, obviously textured differently, and same attack pattern. So some of us like to think that it's the skeletons of our fallen brethren before us that have come back to haunt our souls again. So that guy that we just took from Halob, he was in a white gown, so he's an old follower. So when we indoctrinate him, he's not going to want to ask for a job to do, so he's just going to be sitting on the sidelines cheering us on until the end of his days. But yeah, it does save a little bit of time, one less menu you have to go through when indoctrinating. Okay. Yeah, these little guys can be a absolute pain with the hammer. 1-2.5. We're gonna want to try and get a safety heart if we can. I'm actually gonna take a tarot card here from Clawneck. Yeah, we'll take the extra blue heart. So similar to other games, red hearts are regenerative hearts, blue hearts are non-regenerative hearts. When you lose them, they're gone. But it's an extra hit that we can take as well. Whoa, that's really annoying. So one thing that can happen, that will always happen actually in Anura, in one of the final rooms, Hecate will spawn these two giant toads that love to ground stomp. and they do a lot of damage. But the really annoying thing is that because they're like a special encounter, when one of them dies, it'll like slow down time in the game to like show their death, which can throw you off a bit when you're then instantly trying to go kill the other one as well. And can cause a lot of... Oh, if only I could have taken both of them, but we'll definitely take the claws first. So into our final dungeon room here of our final dungeon run will be the Hecate Bishop fight. You're gonna give me... Oh, yes you are. We end it with the god duo. Fit for a god in the making themselves. The lamb. Might not be quite a god if we want to keep getting hit like that, but that's fine. You're going to drop a heart? No, you're not. Okay, 1.5 hearts. This is scary. Please drop a full heart or nothing. That's fine too. Okay, we'll take a half a heart. But we're coming, okay, so we've got 2 hits to our name for this final boss fight of the bishops. The thing with Hecate is he has 2 main phases that you can get enough damage off quickly to force kill him in the first phase, because between phases he jumps up into the sky and spawns a bunch of dudes that you have to kill before he lands again. So if we can avoid that, ideally, that'll be great, but I'm not optimistic about it with the amount of damage we have, and want to play it more safe. So we'll get off our Hands of Fate shots first here to do a really good bit of damage, and yes, we get the first phase finish on him. That's really nice. So that'll be the last heart of a heretic that we need. And now it's just going to be a matter of beefing up our numbers as we charge down the doors of the One Who Waits. Because honestly, after our time on the run back in the real world, we've kind of gotten a bit sick of the One Who Waits' antics. And yeah, we're gonna come for a bit of revenge, we think. I guess. You're on an army of 1, so we have to get our 5 followers here, now up to 20. And if we've done the math correctly and I haven't miscounted anything, we should be totally fine to get all 20. If not, there's a chance we could be 1 short and we'll just go out and buy one again from a little vendor outside. But we should have plenty enough. You'll see me as well, just in between each one. I'm going to be holding a button that lets me... The game calls it meditation. It's essentially an in-game speed up that we can do. Go away. I don't care about your side quest. It lets us just speed up the time that it takes for... Oh, no, that one. Thank you. Speeds up the time it takes for enemies to spawn in. Followers to spawn in from the indoctrination pedestal here. And we're also going to be mashing escape. Not there, but sure. That was weird. When we get to this naming screen, just stick it down to that accept button and bring that menu off and on screen just a few frames earlier. With any little bit of time save we can do, it all adds up in the end. It's actually a really nice nighttime that we got, because now everyone's going to go to sleep and not annoy me again. Saying like, Dave from Tent 5, like, stole my cup again. Can you please go get it back? $15 now. There's been a little bit of, across the years, differentiating between runners on when's the best time to do a lot of these indoctrinations, because different amounts that you have at different times, as we're saying throughout, is going to affect different cutscenes that play with them and whatnot. But yeah, sometimes just the less times we have to run down to this indoctrination pedestal, the better. And then one more with our Eligos follower here. Okay, so we had one extra, but that is totally fine. So we take our 20 and we go knock on the doors of hell, or heaven, however you want to, or both somehow, or somewhere in between, who knows. But the one who waits will be waiting for us. We take our gateway and our little ritual summoning site. It's a lot more than 20, but it looks nice. Some of these guys probably just snuck in through the back door, want to get a piece of the action themselves. But unfortunately, the game gives us an option coming up. So we're going to be selecting any 2 weapons. Time will be coming up here shortly as well, because we have the option of either continuing our escapade against the one who waits in a giant fight to the death, or we can take the easy way out and just commit ourselves to a life of sin under them for all eternity. And because it's a speedrun, we want the quickest way, so that is the one we'll do. Time will be coming up on our second dialogue prompt here. We accept, and that is time. Yeah, a bit of... that doesn't look quite right for a body, I'd say. But yeah, so that's Cult of the Lamb. Again, massive monster, an amazing local Melbourne-based studio. Incredible support, community support as well. Their whole team that I've worked with and had a dev on the couch here before, Harrison, is absolutely incredible. Go check it out. Yeah, support your local indie games. These guys are absolutely amazing. Thanks, guys.
Right, that wraps up our day 1 of ACMI and AusSpeedruns present Speedrun Weekend. Thank you everyone for coming by. We do have another day of speedruns for you tomorrow. That will be a separate session with a separate ticket, I mean. If you want to come by, we've got some more runs. We've got Super Sammy Roll, Super Monkey Ball, Super Metroid, and Spyro leading us off tomorrow. Everyone, thank you so much for coming by, and we hope you have a fantastic night. Thank you.